the effort that people are mobilizing around now is a shared vision around girls, all of them leaving secondary education or its equivalent. It doesn't have to be a formal school per se. Secondary education with the skills they need for their lives and their livelihoods. And that is a really important shift. And I want to pause there for a second before I talk about these 5 second-generation issues that people have said are the important steps to get to that vision for our next couple decades. And just emphasize, because I was totally agree with your point about sort of the flash mob approach in international development. I liken it to sort of children's soccer game. I don't know if any of you have kids. I have 2 little boys, and they're playing soccer, and all the kids run towards the ball, and then the ball goes over there, and they all run over there. And that's kind of, not anybody in this room, of course, but funders out there have the same approach, certainly in education and girls' education. So one thing what I've noticed, there's an important nuance between saying we want our girls to leave secondary ed with the skills they need and saying we are going to only fund secondary education. Because in that map with the red hotspots, the reason those girls are not in secondary education is because they're dropping out of primary. So I don't want funders to think, oh, good, I'm going to stop funding primary, I'm going to just fund secondary. What they need to do is follow them all the way through, finish the job, basically. So what are the 5 issues? And then I'll stop there. The 5 sort of second-generation issues that in the girls' education community at the global level, people are coming around a shared agenda is 1, get girls into the school and make sure access. Number 1 is access. Get them in and make sure they go all the way through secondary. The second is safety, and it's both those attacks on education that you saw in those 13 countries where girls are actively bombed, kidnapped, et cetera, but also the type of sexual abuse that Lucy talked about in and around to and from schools. So safety is the second one. The third one is quality learning, and this is really a boys and girls issue. You can't lift the boat for girls only. You've got to do it for the whole system. But it's incredibly important because a lot of girls are getting into school and staying for multiple years, but they're not graduating because they're not mastering the basic skills the year before. And the fourth one is transitions, because we do need to start thinking out ahead. There are countries in the world that girls are getting through secondary education, but they aren't able to make the next step. Some countries in the Middle East are perfect examples. Jordan has a much higher graduation rate out of high school of girls, and they really trump boys on their exams, and they can't make the switch to the labor market. Only 18% of women are working versus 60 or something of men. And that's not specifically an education system issue, but it is an issue that the education system has got to start grappling with and thinking about transitions. So that fourth one, transitions. And the fifth one is a how to get to the top 4. And it's really underscores exactly what Mrs. Michel just said. And the fifth one is we have to lean in big time, this time around, to supporting developing country girls' education leaders. Because those big top 4 issues, they really are the big buckets that you need to tackle in those girls' ed hotspots, but the actual solutions to how you tackle access or safety, it looks really different in India than it does in Nigeria. So where girls' education has made massive progress, it's in the last 2 decades, it's been where you've had to remove one barrier only. And so the hotspots, there's multiple barriers to address, so you need a very contextualized understanding, and you can really only get that, not by piloting in and some sort of broad statements, but by really empowering developing country girls ed leaders, men and women, who exactly know in their communities how you've got to approach it. So that would be the big agenda. And I would say, lastly, maybe I'm being too long too, lastly, if people are interested in joining girls' ed movement, they should join up with others. do not start something by all means. This is, my God, this is Skoll Forum. Start something, social entrepreneurs. But join up with others in a network, because the last 2 years even, I have seen more global interest and momentum around the girls' education issue, and I've been working on it for 20 years, than I've seen in a couple decades. And there are active networks being formed with very senior leaders connecting to developing country leaders, and it would be good if we could all come together.